Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this first day of June 2021. June, and this is Tuesday, June 2021, and day 1. As usual, this talk civil field engineering, COVID 19 impact on engineering, designs and works, designs, construction, methods, contracts, organization, communication, various types of issues, and quality, riding on all issues. And I hope you certainly like my previous talks because these are related to improvement of engineering and related to various issues. Certification is an issue. We have all certain level of certificates. For example, I have certificate of fellow membership, that's FI, which is you can say given after long experience in engineering, post degree, and this chartered engineer certificate is given to claimed by every corporate member of Institute of Engineers. This certificate is Chartered Engineer India, and of course there is then professional certification for those who can say they are well advanced, they are, you can say, experienced, well experienced, and they are using those experts. I'm not experts, but according to rules, I'm expert. Then varying explanations, pertinent quality, what is quality, why we consider this, and then certain checklists for various activities in engineering, construction, particularly civil, and of course more files and sketches would be displayed during this talk. So far I have delivered to you many more, you can say, related or non-related issues. Meanwhile, I'll close these certificates because this will just hold memory or nothing. So I'm closing quality CE. And now question arises about quality. What quality means? Every day I take some time to define approach towards quality. Every day mind tells something to speak more and more on this issue, and it's all right. We speak something because every time something comes to my mind, and that should not be held, that should not be arrested. It should be used in fact. It should be used, and I think that's the best way. We all talk of quality, and it is good, means it should be, because quality every person must have also. That's important, not only engineering. If I have some quality, I should know. Why should somebody tell me? I can analyze myself. What is my plus point in quality? Or you can say what are merits I am having? And I should know what are demerits I am having. I should know that too. Because demerit and merit, both everybody got, everybody has. Maybe I consider demerits also merit for me. That is my understanding. But first, as we say, I should know my defects. I should know where I am weak, and for that purpose, one has to conduct self analysis, and that self analysis is very important part. I have written analysis. Analysis applies to all activities in life. There is no activity which you can say move or can move without effect of analysis. The activity itself cannot analyze. Whatever activity we conduct in world, it cannot be analyzed by itself, but we can analyze that. That activity can tell us my time is there, you analyze me. And if I can talk to that activity, I mean, understanding of that activity is called talk. Talk doesn't mean that activity comes to me and stand and tells you, no, you talk to me first. No. Automatically, you can say silent transactional relation exists between two person and activity, and I think that must be conducted. If there is something wrong in activity, it's because of myself. Maybe I did not understand that activity, or somebody else caused that problem. Whatever be issue, activity would tell us this is that at this moment I am defective, make a correction, understand this defect and modify this, or do it in a better way. I can accept all better applications. It is very important that nothing is complete, nothing is absolute, nothing is perfect in whatever work we do, except that we can modify it. We may consider at one point of time that this is perfect, nothing is left in that, but it is never ever applicable. Always research puts something in to that work done already. That point we have to understand. Yes, you can say this is near perfection, this is near agreement of our requirement, but we cannot say that no more improvement can be done. Improvement is a continuous process. Nobody can say, yes, today you may say, today we are compliant with this requirement, and yesterday we compliant with requirement which are little lesser to this, and in coming time, in future, requirement may increase, may enhance, and then also we shall have to comply with that. So if we compare like this, say past, present and future requirement, all these vary and shall keep on varying in our coming times, and that's what we say modification based development moves on. So I can say myself, my soul can say myself, my mind can say myself. When I say soul I consider integral part of my work activity, because my soul tells me, my mind tells me, do this, and do this, and then see. That kind of practical analysis, that kind of empirical based analysis, or you can say intentional analysis, that we want to touch something, maybe sometimes we make losses. That's called research. Research is a kind of activity in which you can get betterment, you can get some advantage, as well as you can get some disadvantage, but that is temporary. It's important that research be conducted all time, not only in activity but also in our minds, in our thoughts. Whatever I think today, whatever I used to think yesterday, and what shall I think tomorrow, these three again cannot meet, because circumstances changes, time changes, material changes, technology is changing, and our thinking style changes. Our thinking changes. Means change, we say, is a must. Material compositions change. Means there is nothing in this world which cannot change, and change is development, change is engineering advancement, and change is body development as well. Body which I got at time of birth, and body that I have today, I shall have tomorrow, I shall have at time of my death. All three bodies, compositions, everything is different. That's my point. Same when nature changes, nature accepts changes, it does changes. So means human has to change each and every activity during its continuation, during its, you can say, working, and that should be done based on experience, based on requirement, and based on experimentation. So analysis, if you just use this word for all these activities, it's kind of unit of currency we use in payment. So analysis is a kind of currency in our world of development. Analysis, which is done by very few people, because it's not easy to be understood by all, though it is done, maybe it is, they do sometimes, but they don't understand analysis of analysis. Hence you have to sometimes say, to understand something or some analysis, I have to do analysis of that. It's not simple mathematics or physics or chemistry or something set formula or scientific formula. It is life formula that we now analysis. Even life cannot move. We should weigh such terms, analysis and thinking. Thinking is very simple term that we can apply to application of thinking, and that's analysis. Thinking is done by every kid, every person, even animals, they think to some extent. But human has got a capability to think and utilize this thinking power to conduct analysis. This has direct relation. If you have to analyze something, you have to understand that. You have to comprehend that. What does it mean? What material does it contain? All that you have to understand. And then only we can say, yes, I can change it because there is some deficiency in this or there is something missing in this. So analysis is done. And I can say engineering is world of analysis. I think engineering is on top, and particularly basics engineering like civil, electrical, mechanical. This I call triangle of basic engineering, without which nothing can move. This triangle you can call platform of engineering, and beginning of engineering involves this. All other follow-up engineering supported by this platform. That is true. This is, you can say, having a roof on some area, and this is what it is, having a roof on your world of engineering. Civil, electrical, mechanical. Civil is, you can say, dust based or soil based. Electrical is electronic based, and mechanical is machine based. You have to use machine. You means if you have to use machine, you have to require electrical current, flow of electrons, and if you want to utilize this in your home, only then home can give you service. It's not simple building, it's serviced home. So you can say that you have to conduct analysis of engineering, means you must have this. After that you can give advanced services by all other engineering. Civil engineering is number one in analysis. Mechanical engineering and electrical engineering have different sorts of analysis. Those analyses are conducted in different manner. Basics of analysis, if you go and search or try to point out in material engineering or in applications of materials, that's called applied mechanics, or you want to study about, to know about what is material, what is its property, what are its properties, then you have to understand material engineering. Material science we used to say in beginning, and of course then we have theory of structure, or you can simple theory, you may say, theory of whatever you want to study. Theory means ori means origin. Actually the is just a supporting word. Original word is O-R-Y or ori. It relates to origin of something. Origin means when you say is x o x axis and y o y axis, that meeting point of these two axes is called origin. And that origin means as much as you can know about something, that is origin, as much as you can know. So theory of structures, theory you can say Origin of analysis, you may say, origin of something, you can say, when we study theory of structure, that is based on other subjects. We study applied mechanics, or you can say strength of material. Theory of structure is based on that. If you don't understand physics, or if you don't understand other subjects which are related, or you don't understand mathematics, I think there is no other way. If you don't know those subjects, we cannot understand, we cannot analyze anything. We may think in analysis, or we can analyze to think, but we cannot do any application mathematically. And engineering is application of mathematics. That is very true. Mathematics application is worked upon material, which are known materials and have known properties, and only then we can say, yes, this is a system having material and having science. We can find out whatever we do. That is theory of structures. If there is no theory of structure, I think we cannot even think of structures. We can think of, trial only. Okay, we try this and see what results does it give. That could be time in those days when people did not have formal engineering. I don't say that they did not used to calculate. They used to calculate. They had their own formula, and they did, of course, do something. You can say universe itself is a proof. It's evidently proof that mathematics was used. Means when there was no solar system, maybe no skies, I don't know. That time might be it was mathematical era, and mathematics were developed. Sciences were developed based on mathematics, and then formulae must have been developed by God, the top analyst of universe, top engineer of universe. So we can by just considering term of analysis reach to that point in imagination, you can say hypothesis, and find that something existed which we cannot understand today, or you can say we don't have any capacity to understand that. If we can understand that, I think we will be the best person. We shall know everything about science, and that's a very important point. I'm just trying to explain this in a way, in very, very raw way, because life is raw. Today also, if you forget there's some finished item, you'll find in nature everything is raw. You can see at mountain, you can see on ground, you can see sea itself, ocean, or you can see trees, you can see wind, feel it, you can see everything. It's all raw, nothing is refined, but it's used all time. These agencies are used all time. We use soil every moment, we use water every moment, we use air every moment. I think we use every presence of wealth, I call it wealth. In fact, this is wealth. Air, water, tree, soil, skies. I think these are real wealth which we least bother. This wealth can't be purchased. We can't purchase earth, we can't purchase soil, we can't purchase mountain, we can't purchase air, we can't purchase sun rays. So we have to be little above intelligence, that we got all this material, all this wealth free of cost, and even then we don't care for this. And this wealth is not meant for one day or 1 year, this is meant for ever. So this is destiny of everyone. All these wealth points, or you can say agencies of wealth, agencies created by nature, are to be used by all to come, and already used by those who have gone. This means these are permanent beings on earth. I may not be permanent because I have to leave one day, and no one is permanent. Everybody has to live. So we have establishment of wealth in form of energy. All these are energies, and these cannot be destructed. Just we say energy cannot be destroyed. Yes, its transformer can be done. Transformers can be done. It proves that. We have to go this way in some depth of analysis. Being engineer, being scientist is duty of these qualified people, these learned people, that we have to understand respect from this. We use these materials, and without these materials there can be no engineering, there can be no science. Work of scientist is to observe conduct of these wealth items. This is duty of scientists to understand as much as possible and tell others like engineers that this is property of this and this property can be utilized. And even mathematical work is done by scientists to establish some formula or whatever can be used in engineering. It's very high level of understanding. We cannot restrict ourselves to books only. We have to understand natural book, natural, you can say natural live videos, live programs that this wealth gives us. We have to give value. It is called intellectual understanding if we can observe this. Thinking is property. Thinking is property of God. Just a minute, please. I can say thinking is property given to everyone. It's like a gift. Though thinking is possessed by everybody, but level of thinking, you can say intensity of thinking, power of thinking, wealth of thinking is not given to everyone. Yes, if you have will, you can get it. Just like everybody has different amount of money. But if you have will, you can make more money. Everybody is educated. Yes, everybody is educated, say up to school. And if you want to get more knowledge, you can have further education that is applicable. And that's what I say. Thinking is wealth, more than which there is no wealth. It's up to you what way you think. You are money level minded or you are intellectual level minded. You can use your brain for some creation, or you can use same brain for destruction. It's up to you. Same way you can say atomic world does. Use electrical energy, you to use those electrons to move, and then you can use them, these electrons, for positive activities like economic creation, or you can say electrical energy or some other energy or some machine or something, or you can just use your thinking to these for these electrons used in a way of nuclear fission, and you can destroy nature. Actually, human is little foolish because human dominates everywhere and say, I am stronger than you, I am powerful than someone else, and listen to me, or else if you don't listen to me, I can destroy you. That's what is called domination of one by another one. I am dominated by my other powerful, my I dominate others. It happens. But not because I am strong. I don't use my body energy or my energy. I use material energy to kill others. What a weak person I am. I may say human is too weak, can say. Neither human is justified and nor intelligent. Because I want to express my domination, exhibit my domination in terms of that I can kill you. It's very difficult to be constructive in this world. Constructive means you have to do a lot of work. You have to do a lot of work if you want to be constructive. And if you want to be destructive, I think it's not that difficult. You can go to someone and kill him. Maybe you are jailed, but you killed or destructive. Construction or constructive activities are very difficult, not exciting. Every construction activity takes time. It takes time, it requires energy, and it requires knowledge. Then it requires resources. Only then we can construct. It's long process. It's intellectual process. It's hard working process. We can do construction. It's long and time consuming job. But destruction, just throw one bomb to someone and there can be destruction. There can be that happens. So if you are a constructive person, I think you are friend of God, or you can say you are supported by God. God shall support you otherwise also, but this constructive activity, I don't mean construction of buildings, I'm talking of construction of every activity based work. All constructions can be done only by those who are patient, who are ambitious, who are interested to help this world develop by their efforts, and those people are always criticized by those who don't want to work. I mean to say there are two kinds of people mainly. One who are work oriented, who are construction oriented, and other are those who are just either use construction done by others for claiming that it's theirs, or they only do destruction work. To be constructive is very difficult because you can construct only if you follow all process. You cannot construct by shortcut. You have to move all over process, and that is really a great requirement. I experienced this. Maybe we work in office somewhere else, or we work wherever else. People, you will find every thinking based person. Some people are time oriented. Oh, my duty time starts and my now finished, my job is over. Maybe they do not use all hours for work. And there are others who work silently, who work efficiently, who know what to do, how to do, they understand requirement, and they keep on working. And they don't have time, unnecessary time, to go to talk to others or to call on phones or mobiles and waste time. Those people are, you know, of top cadre, I can say, whatever level they have, but they are constructive. And being constructive is very important, significant word for me at least, if not for you, because I am at least interested in construction. And once you construct something, believe me, you consider that it's my baby. You will not use that for your purpose because you construct for someone else, but you will feel that this is yours. It happens. As I construct some structure, though I'm not going to use that, I'll hand over to someone, but I feel it's mine. Internally, I feel, oh, I constructed that. Even after 10 years, 15 years, I pass through that area. It would tell, oh, I'm your baby. Oh, my baby is defected, you see. It's having cracks here. It's not well maintained. I feel that. It is natural because it's my baby. At least it was my baby. It's not my baby. for that period when I constructed that, maybe years together. And even name is given to people, means just like people call many persons by name due to their professional achievements. It happens. There are so many people in this world whose names are linked to achievements, and that is credit to them. Same way, if you have to construct, maybe you are not famous, but people know you are that person who has capacity to do that. And those people who don't want to see in that credit, they become your opposite. Oh, this man, he's very regular, he's punctual, he doesn't listen to others, he does his work. Why he does work? There are some people who want to encounter you because you have created problem for them, because you have worked, so they have to work. They have to show you a competitor they are. Means they want to be your competitor, but they do not work. That's why they try to pull your legs. We call leg pulling. That is called leg pulling. Means you pull legs of others and let your opponent fall and you remain up standing. But they forget. One time you can pull leg of someone. Second time maybe you get benefit of that. But that benefit shall not be permanent with you because you don't believe in construction. That person believed in construction, and that's why that person remained busy in construction, and you were enjoying gossipism, you were enjoying nonsense, and you did not do work like that person did. So why do you feel jealous? You do. Nobody stopped you, but you would neither do and nor allow other to do. So you are a devil, you can say. I think devil may be a bad term for that. Or you should say what term it is, I can't say. You are a killer of something. I could killer. Devil doesn't kill directly. You are about hell, you are a killer. You don't mind in killing others or others' works. Work killing is also, credit killing is also a kind of killing. So application, or you can say application of activities, is known as work, and that's also known as engineering. Means construction is very difficult. It demands devotion. It demands determination. It demands regularity. It demands punctuality. It demands immersion of mind into that. It demands requirement of material. It demands how to do work. Means nothing is left which is not included for conducting or carrying out that activity. And that is very important point here. I think once you start talking something, you keep on entering into that field further and further. And that is what I say. Every act you do in that is a part of engineering work. You may make mistakes also. I don't say that a person who works hard doesn't make mistake. Actually, a person who works make mistakes. A person who works makes mistake. And those who do not work, they do not make mistakes. And people say, see, his record is clear. Yes, that person's record is clear because there is no record. So it is clear. Simple. And that person whose record has many mistakes, of course, that person worked. That's why if there are 4 mistakes, say there are 400, means non-mistakes also, means correct work also, right work also. So we have to weigh like that. It's easy because those people who are backbiters or who are your enemies, they will always say he has done 4 mistakes, and they will not say he has done 400 acts. That's the only difference. So application is very important, and non-conformance means person is either careless means you are not conforming to what is demanded or what is required. Therefore, you can be said careless. But because you worked, we don't say you were still. You were careless, but you worked. You were ignorant, but you worked. To some level, you are incompetent, but you worked. So you, yes, if all times, if you repeat same thing, in that case, I cannot say that you are a good person, because a person who does work never ever expects that work should be incorrect. As much as possible, to practical limits, work is good, it is okay. That is, main point here. Well, I can say, there can be no better definition to understand such analysis. So we can say non-conformance means engineer is either careless or ignorant or incompetent one, and therefore redundant personnel. We must change to requirements to achieve intended quality standards for universal recognition. Means we have to change, we can change because standards change. I'm not much concerned about recognition, but my own recognition I have to do. If I can recognize myself, means I thoroughly check my work and I find errors, I try to correct that. That is also a kind of self recognition. If I am self examiner, examiner is examiner, yourself or you examine someone else. Same principles apply. Only difference is that you don't tell others I have examined. I have tested myself. You test yourself or you test someone else. Same means if you apply same principles to yourself, you will correct yourself. Means self-study, self-search is very important for those mature people. For kids it's different, but for those who are professionals, they examine self or maximum peers check them. Peers, nobody else. So we can say quality requirements checks being a must. Quality requirements are defined, are specified, and these must be checked. It's a must. If something misses, don't blame others, blame yourself. Even if others are involved, no problem. It is enough. It is fortunate that you got errors in time. If we get errors in time to know, we can correct those errors rather than allowing them to thrive further, to accumulate all activities. As much as we can find during work, we can achieve better quality success. Failure can go. Quality failure happens because of ignorance or because of carelessness, or you can say not worrying about our competency. Sometimes what happens, we forget or we don't care or we say, "I'll see later." It happens, means everybody is of same nature. Engineering means quality application and continuous improvement of quality. That is what I can say. If I want to improve quality, there is no way I cannot do, and I have to do. I have to do. That is a must. There is no way. You have to do because it is your job. It is your job. You have to do it. Power of contemplation. Though I have not written power on this page, but it is power. To create template, you understand? A kind of format. A kind of format that can be used or that can be even automated by formula application. That contemplation comes from many times thinking, because you get into certain solutions parts by parts, and that a kind of format is created. This is area for question and this is area for answer. This is area for problem and this is area for solution. And gradually that format is developed based on your site experience, based on your success. And to get further success, that contemplated formula helps you. That is very, very important point. Contemplation. That contemplation cannot be achieved conveniently. A lot of work is required to do that, and it's not easy for everybody. It's not easy. We have to take this point into our consideration. Contemplation means you have certain results put in that format, and you can use that format again and again repetitively. Example is a formula formation, mathematical formula formation, or application of engineering formation on worksheet, which is itself called template. You can say it's my template if I use this for this purpose. Certain purpose is fixed, and that purpose I just change value in that editable cell, and result changes. It's called a kind of template. It can be speaking template, means when formula is fed into, or it can be just a typeable contemplation, typeable, you can say template. You can just fill in values and say, okay, this is form done. Every means it's up to you. You can do your way. So this I try to define that if there is non-conformance, on your application, which is called quality non-conformance, and that product is called substandard one, and therefore rejectable and is rejected. But rejected doesn't mean it dies. If you can modify it, it can be accepted, but within specifications, within procedure, that should be there. Now, I think every day you cannot explain all this, but this analysis and thinking, I count this, and we apply this to our structures, our risks, our reliability. Many times I explain to you construction methods and designs of structures and others, which are, it's a part of my profession. Though I'm not experienced designer, I'm not that level educated, experienced, I'm ordinary person. But this is very important point, structures, designs, which must be qualitative. Qualitative means each step should be clear. Our relative understanding of material properties and materials and our formula all must be clear and clearly applied, clearly understood, and then reapplied and re-understood. We can learn a lot by designing. I don't mean to say you design like StatPro does or some other. Design means your thinking of design, your assessment of design, what do you understand by this. Sometimes we have to talk to ourselves to understand design, or we have to talk to structure itself, how it's going to behave, how it's going to conduct, which we can think this way or that way, you can conduct. And of course there are experiments, various tests are conducted, models are tested. So design of structure is a different world. It starts with simple designs, very, very simple designs, and it goes to then framing, and framing goes to multiple framing, and then it's called structure, not a structural member. In every structure there may be hundreds of members, every member have different properties, different applications, different formula, and then of course material. Material property results into structural properties, and it's very important part of structural designing or structural understanding. There are so many stages in designs, so many stages, but which is best one, which is sufficient one, we have to see, and also we have to relate that one to construction. Shall it work per our thinking or it not? That being very educated engineer, we have to think and understand. If I don't have thinking capacity, well, I can't be engineer then. Forget it. Just like doctor, medical doctor has thinking capacity to diagnose problem and then prescribe medicine. Same way, we have to diagnose our problem. Our problem are different type than medical, of course. Little more work is done in our profession, and that profession is based on devotion. That means they have to take risk of that person's life, whereas we have to take risk of destruction of material, or these are natural produce, just like human is natural produce. So we have to move like that. Thinking has many ways, and I would not say that all are good or all are bad. It depends. But as far as quality is concerned, I think no one has a right to compromise with this, because if you compromise, you don't compromise quality, you compromise with your conscience, you compromise with your own faith, you compromise with your existence. You should think that way, because I don't know what you get by spoiling quality, what benefit or what achievement you get. I can't understand, and I don't want to understand also that, because unnecessarily wasting time is no use. World gives us time for positive works, for good works, or development works, not for unnecessary making some good thing into bad, some good existence into bad. This does not, it's not taught by engineering or education. It's very important. So can I say quality required everywhere? This cannot be defined. This statement cannot be defined. That quality required everywhere, and in engineering it's a must. And if it's not a must, then your engineering shall fail. Therefore, the points that we can say: systems, individuals, products and elements, attitude, dedication, commitment, and all others unknown parameters or known parameters but not written here must have certain status, quality status, quality orientation. Only then we can respect our work. Otherwise, I have to oppose my work also. Oppose means change it, change your work, change your procedure of work. That can be done. I think enough time today also I've taken for this part of talk, and now I have to move to other part, and that is quality requirement, which is, again, you can say, we had discussed this yesterday, and we reached, you know we reached some, and we had talked fully that. What was left is, that is, okay, I have to go a little back. Slab was over, and generator foundations. I think it's talking of something or no? Yes, slab was over, slab over, pedestal footings. Okay. suspended slab. So, okay, this was over. Item number 14 was over. So now I think I spoke about this. Let us repeat this because this is very small, not big one. It won't take much time. Of contemplating on checklists, and that's RCC pedestal footings for structural steel frameworks. And this is, not massive size footing. These are ordinary footings, but thickness or depth is more. In this case, because there is embedment of structural steel framing columns into this footing, and it's not that kind of we say footing of a building, RCC framing. It's not that kind, but it has to carry with this some bolts. You can say anchor bolts, or you can say that directly, even sometimes your structural column member could be embedded, but usually bolting is professional, anchor bolting is professional. So what is done in particularly non heavy load bearing members of framing, small footings are done, for example 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, or 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter, like that, depending on type, depending on soil conditions, and depending on so much. Where there is framing members up to 15 meters, 20 meters span, just framing is there. So you can say hall may be that much. But if you see on sides of that, gable sides of that, ends of that, you will find in that 4 or 5 columns or structural columns, or 3 or 4 columns on both ends. And also in those positions where there is no heavy frame, maybe it is no other frames are like where EOT crane is used, or you can say where also you can say EOC crane is used, electrical operated crane you may say, or where there are girders have been placed, or some other arrangement is there, where we can say on that frame we consider little bigger size of foundation. But when I'm talking of two items here, one is just framing item, ordinary framing item. Other one is gantry girder based framing item, on which EOT or EOC crane works, electrical operated crane, small size, small weight, but that works within hall or workshop or factory to handle material. I'm talking of these two, and this item is pedestal footings for structural steel frames, ordinary one, and it says that use term pedestal for approximate cubical size of footing, and it's ensures setting out of blinding concrete. Blinding comes everywhere, means it is a must, means you assume that excavation is over, formation level is over, we have done blinding, and of course water protection, etc., soil protection, all those activities we assume is over. So I'm directly hitting structure. So you can say ensure setting out and blinding concrete is over is correct. Tested, inspected, and also ensure reinforcement in form of cage, prefabricated cage. I mean, we can fabricate on site also. There's no such rule you cannot do it, but because this is a little better, it's very simple form of reinforcement in this. A kind of cage, because depth is say 1 meter. You cannot take it as a different ordinary footing where you can say okay niche, okay we take bending moment, cantilever bending moment and design, and upper portion we leave like that. That happens up to in footings of depth of 30, 300 mm or 400 mm. Even in 400 mm sometimes we provide top reinforcement also. So it happens, means, but this is different here. There's no question. There will be moments here also, but because depth is more and steel is provided in cage, means top portion, bottom portion, and sides all are provided steel, primary steel or main steel and secondary steel. So it's means whatever direction, in both direction, this load is distributed, reaction is distributed like that. So you can say it's better to just to fabricate this in full in yard and bind there itself, and then bring that prefabricated bound item and place on blinding directly or covers, and that was say is easiest way. So ensure reinforcement in the form of case is rightly fabricated in all directions, and ensure concrete covers spacers are provided to meet functional requirements. Ensure void or pocket for anchor bolts portion is provided, or grooves you can say, within of top of case for purpose of for future grouting. And once bolt plate is placed, once bolt plate is anchor bolt plate is placed on pocket or voids, ensure pocket blockout for groove is fabricated correct or as designed to truncated dimension. Means truncated means you can say bottom portion be wider than top portion, so that if friction is created, more value is created in that, and it is on all sides of that block, and it's purely fixed on this formwork, well anchored, no disturbance during concrete. So ensure pocket blockouts for groove being fabricated correct auto requirement to keep strong as much as possible to truncated dimensions. In case anchor bolt plate assembly needs be provided at time of concreting, blockout for groove shall not be required. Now have formwork erected to required dimensions on all sides. Have it well secured and supported. Have reinforcing bars cage placed in. Reinforcing bars case placed in. Before that was have it well secured and supported means formwork. Now formwork plates can also be erected after reinforcing bars case is placed in, both way. No, nothing wrong with that, because it's a small case and people can sit there and like foundation, it doesn't matter. Now ensure pocket block outs placed by approved supports to hang within pad volume. This is block outs that we have fabricated already, and we have to place them on their position where your anchor bolts have to come in, and we hang them with some lumber or timber pattern, so that it can stay stable and can be easily controlled during concreting. So formwork plates can also be erected after reinforcement is done or placed in, and pocket blockout placed by approved supports to hang within pad volume, and check building axes and grid measurements. That's very important. As I usually said, we must establish axis on both directions, x and y direction, and then we can measure from that axis our grid distance from axis. And also then says check building axis and grids and grid measurements, and check dimensions of formworks. Check top of concrete levels, fixing arrangement. Check top of concrete levels, fixing arrangements. Then reinforcing bars, particular requirements, which is for all steel, and that again I say it is there. Ensure reinforcing bars are clean and free from the rust. That's very important. Rust is very common in our country, and people least bother about that, unless unfortunately even engineers keep silent, which reason I don't know. All rust should go from bars before being embedded in concrete. Ensure reinforcing bars are clean and free from rust. Ensure sacrificial anode or boss is fixed if required, if so required in design, and in which case non-epoxy coated bars shall be included. I mean to say, if you use non-epoxy bars, non-epoxy coated bars, sacrificial anode can be placed in, cathodic protection can be used, can be applied, can be inserted for corrosion control. Ensure that electrical continuity test or check shall be conducted if cathodic protection is installed. And ensure touch-up paint is continuously applied in case of epoxy coated reinforcing bars, and no cathodic protection is permitted on epoxy coated bars. There should be no place left where you can say epoxy coat is broken or it's scratched. Whatever defect is seen on each steel bar, we have to keep epoxy coating paint applied all time by small brush, and without that there's no meaning of embedding this bar in concrete. So this is touch-up paint, you can say regular application on all bars. That is important. We can see now checklist for footing blocks for structural steel frame, or we can say overhead gantry girders for EOT cranes, or EOC you may say electrical overhead cranes, or tracking also we can say, or doesn't matter if I have written EOT or EOC. You have to understand basics point. What happens? You can say for footings of long span steel frames for gantries in workshops or in factories, you can say, of course I'm talking of that. In plan it is rectangular shape. This footing I'm talking in plan, it is often rectangular shape with considerable depth of foundation block. Ensure the sitting out on blinding is correct. Ensure reinforcement in form of cage is rightly fabricated in all directions. Ensure concrete cover or spacers are provided to meet requirement, and ensure void or pocket for anchor bolts portion is provided within top cage. These are same as before. Also we have to repeat same activity as we did before. Ensure pocket block out for groove is fabricated correct, right, suitably right, fittable to truncated dimensions. In case anchor bolt plate assembly needs be provided at time of concreting, block out for grooves shall not be required. Means if you hang in right position your anchor bolts in prefabricated plate as is delivered, you cast in with concrete, that time you hang it in that. In that case there shall be no requirement of groove, and directly these bolts would be embedded into concrete. It can happen, but generally we don't do that. So we can say, in case anchor bolt plate assembly needs be provided at time of concreting, block out for groove shall not be required. Have formwork erected to required dimension on all sides, generally 4 sides. Have it well secured and supported. Usually with that system is there. Formwork I have discussed many times. how do we support, and because you cannot bolt within that, so we have to be a little careful so that it doesn't open, sides don't open. That's more important point. These sides should remain intact during work. No, there should be no movement and no bulging. That's important. So have it well secured and supported. Have reinforcing bars, cage placed in. Again, we can do that. We can bring it to that location using whatever means, and we can place it in that box of formwork, or we can place steel fabricated cage before and then do shutters. It depends on how you handle, how is best for you, suitable for you, convenient for you. Have reinforcing bars cage placed in. Formwork plates can also be erected after reinforcing bars cage is placed in. Ensure dowels for beams, if required, are fixed. Dowels for ground beams or whatever beam you are taking or considering, you have to do that. So you can say ensure dowels for beams, if so required, are fixed, or you can fix dowels, or if you want to do it in one go monolithically, you can do that also. It depends upon your skills. Sometimes these beams can also move on foundation. It happens, sometimes it's industry after all, so they say okay, we take beam above this so that it can also work as retention wall or retention beam, as well as structural beam for resisting horizontal forces. Then ensure pocket blockout placed by approved supports to hang within footing block volume. And say pocket blockout placed by approved supports to hang within footing block. If you use installation of grooves method, you have to take care, again same, all there may be many such blocks to be installed in one footing at different locations given in your design. So you can do that. Keep ready for inspection and pouring. Then you can say you have to work further on that. What to do? Check building axis and grids and grid measurements. Check dimensions of formwork. Dimensions of formwork that you have done, you have placed in. Check alignment and plumb as usual. There should be no, you can say, deviation in alignment, and there should be no effect on plumb. All should be within limits. And check supports of forms, and check top of concrete levels, or fix the arrangement up to what point, up to which point you are going to turn concrete from these pads or these blocks. Then check top of concrete level, fixing arrangement by some method, or by fixing some, you can say, beads on that, or chamfer on that, or whatever means you can do. You can put marks for concrete people just to stop concrete at that point. And if demanded grade beam, can also be provided monolithic, as I said, grade beam. And then reinforcing bars, particular requirements the same, but I arrange streak because it's important. Nobody can go to previous video immediately. Ensure reinforcing bars are clean and free from rust as usual. No rust is allowed. You have to remove rust, no way out. If you don't remove rust and all dust, don't use these bars. Let's recommend it, throw them, or remove your rust by using hard brush, rubbing on those parts, or taking out all those plastics and wearing all these items. Ensure sacrificial anode is fixed if so required, in which case non-epoxy coated bars shall be included. Means when sacrificial anode is designed to be installed, epoxy coating bars would not work. Ensure that electrical continuity check or test shall be conducted if Catholic protection is installed. Because there are C clamps on each bar, all these clamps embed GI wire, and continuity of this work, this activity of anode and link to cathode is done through this wire. This is moved around all steel bars and fixed. Then we can say ensure the electrical continuity check test is conducted. If cathodic protection is required, ensure touch-up paint is applied regularly in case of epoxy coated reinforcing bars, and no cathodic protection is permitted on epoxy coated bar. Got it? Means epoxy coated bar during concrete, before concrete, apply touch-up paint, and if it's done below 3 o'clock. It's very simple statement of this, and nothing very specific in this. You can understand this item. It's very good item, you may say. Then we'll talk of DC generator and alternator foundations. Let us say if I can find something, I will be happy. In this case, I can say possibly I will not find that one. I'm trying to find. I will try to tell all this as much as possible. You can see this generator here. I know you have seen generators, but I'm trying to say something else. You see this generator here, uh, you know, I wanted to show you that sketch. I don't know where it's gone. It's not getting the same thing. Why don't it is in the copy image address? This is generator, I should say generator. Just a minute, please. I'm trying to show this one also. One more I want to show you. That's very important. Just have taken, and that these are generators. Yes, here's this one. This is important. I'm not finding that one really. So it's surprising to me. I'm not finding that one. I got it, I think. Yeah, this is that one. Yes, this is I'm talking of. You may see that it has something specific with this. You can see this big generator. This is around 2500 or more than that. I'm not talking about mechanics of this. You know that there's so much in that. You see these points here. You can see these points here, right? These points I'm talking of, shock absorbers. These shall rest on something, on some hole. This machine is very vibratory. Impact shall be transferred to foundation, and that foundation I'm talking. You can say this machine, first of all, is generator, and this shall be connected to an alternator through some system of work. But independently, this would work. This is all mechanical system. These are all, frame of this frame, and this vertical part, shock absorbers. Now this shall rest on some frame, uh, and that's foundation. And there shall be an isolation between this foundation and, you can say, foundation of this machine. That's frame block, massive block, which shall rest on raft, and there shall be an isolation arrangement between raft and foundation of this machine. Means on top is massive block, and then below massive block is isolation arrangement, and below that isolation arrangement there shall be, you can say, raft, and alternative foundation shall be integrated with raft in monolithic way. This is different system of foundation. This has to rest directly on your massive block. Massive block There shall be grooves on massive block. There shall be definite system, and this generator shall, you can say, I should say, we have to provide foundation system for this. Means a system where there is a machine of generator and alternator. We have to form that one on this for this machine. This is what I am going to talk. A massive block directly below this, and below massive block there is isolation, and below isolation there is its real foundation. This massive block is supporting foundation, and that raft is distribution of load foundation, because raft shall distribute static load while this massive block shall dampen all its impacts, and isolation block shall try to dampen further. This is what I understand. This I am going to talk about this activity, and that is this one. RCC works for DC generator and alternator foundation works. We have to discuss one by one. And that's a very important part of this. I have this block in my book, but that's not here with me, and I don't have any file where I can see that. Sorry, this is another sketch. I have to see that one as I'm talking, House design, I wanted to show you if I can have that. I don't have that one. So no problem, I will now go this way and see what we can say about this. So it's important here. Can we just wait for 10-15 minutes for important activity? I'll be back, Let me go and see. Just give me 10 minutes. I'm going to stay here up. I'm coming down. So now we start about this item talk, which is very important one, and I did myself long back, but with of course that time technology, and this is of course very important one. I can say this very important item. So what I to say that checklist for RCC works for direct current generator and alternator foundation works. Got my point? There is combined type foundation for both generator and alternator in form of raft, and on one end, say left end of raft, it's a long raft, it's not ordinary raft. On long end of this raft there is thick column on which we have to mount alternator, and also on other part away from column of alternator, say 1 meter, 1.5 meter, we have an isolated mounted massive block. Means that massive block is not connected in any way to this raft, but isolated from this raft by one isolated mechanism that is sandwiched between raft and massive block. And on that massive block our machine has to be connected to through bolt system. Means that machine generator shall be mounted on that massive block through anchor bolts, and of course shall have certain shock absorbers between massive block and machine. This is the system, machine system. This is means we have two machines. One is generator, that is vibratory machine, and there's another one alternator, which is not vibratory. Alternator is a thick element, and this machine foundation massive block is massive block, means it is both are having capacities of concrete, quantities of concrete. Now components that they have, components which you can enlist. One is RCC raft, other is alternator foundation in thick concrete column form. Thick concrete, you may question, it's easy to answer. Let me finish this first. Then isolation between generator foundation and raft. Generator foundation means massive block and raft, and generator foundation on isolation on raft in massive block element form. So these are point here. Now there are 2 points, thick element of RCC and massive block. You may ask this question, if you do not know. If you know, it's fine. I say thick element means whatever RCC member that has dimension, least dimension, I can say, least dimension 800 mm or above, and quantity could be up to 8 cubic meter. That can be said to be 8 cubic meter, means at least it should be, let us say 1.5 meter. My column is for this thick element, so 2.25 and multiplied by 3, so that we say around 8 cubic meter. And massive block is different, with a much more diameter this, and its quantity say more than 24 cubic meter or around that, and up to whatever limit. Its mass volume, not mass, I mean to say not mass like concrete, but block is massive. quantity is more in this case. So we have RCC raft, that is original foundation, and that foundation you can say as alternative foundation in thick concrete column form, and then isolation between generator massive foundation and raft, and then generator foundation on isolation on raft in massive block element form. Now we again go to same excavation, we assume is done, everything is done. We are not going to repeat all those. Just start with waterproofing membrane or concrete soil protection work that has been completed and protected. We assume that. Now setting out on blinding is according to designs and approved one. Blinding is already over. Reinforcement of raft is correctly fabricated, we assume, and placed within layout. It is not easy, but we have to assume reinforcement is according to structural design. Side guy has received reinforcement of raft, probably fabricated one, or fabrication can be done in site yard of RCC, I mean reinforcement concrete steel. There are two yards, one is for formwork and one is for steel bars. Steel bar people fabricate steel, I mean say cut and bend according to design, and those who work on formwork, they fabricate formwork according to dimensions. Proper concrete covers we need, and this must be fixed on steel. So wherever is required in case of raft, it is done below steel of raft, and also above as well as the sides, and where you can say its thickness is not much in this case, it may be 400 or 500 mm. Ensure proper concrete covers and spacers are fixed. Ensure cathodic protection is installed if so required. It's not necessary, but if so required, you have to do that. Proper cathodic protection. Then ensure forms are erected. Formwork is erected rightly in plan to true alignment and fixed. In raft, formworks are not that quantity wise, only surrounding or peripheral dimensions are to be formed, hardly 400 mm, 500 mm. So it's not that difficult. 400 and 500 supporting is not that complicated. It can be, conventionally or by good practice can be achieved. So you can say forms are erected rightly in plan to true alignment and fixed. Then ensure concrete profile top levels are fixed. Concrete profile top level means up to which level raft concrete is to be laid. Then we have to keep in mind that about alternative we have to work as well. So forms are erected rightly in plan to true alignment of, and remember this raft is combined one. It's for both foundations, generator foundation as well as for alternative foundation. So the sides we have to cover alternate area as well. This means starter bars of total bars of alternator can also be fixed during fixing reinforcement of this raft. We may say columns, thick columns, steel is also inserted in, probably it is L shape, or you can say 4466 space shape 37 generally, it doesn't matter. Now ensure concrete profile top levels are fixed. Ensure alternative foundation reinforcement bars are placed in correct position. So I have placed it. Alternative foundation reinforcing bars are placed in correct position. And ensure pouring concrete of raft, avoiding cold joints per procedure, and carry out curing activities for defined period. This is as standard, and we have to pour in one layer because it's not very thick. We have to pour it one layer and then finish that surface except portion of steel or portion of layout of, you can say, alternative foundation column. In that portion we have to roughen that area, because that area cannot be finished at this stage. For thick column is to be constructed, we have to keep this in mind. So ensure pouring concrete of raft, avoiding cold joints per procedures, and carry out curing activities for defined period. Curing procedure discussed later on. Ensure that 300 300 or per design steel plate mounted neoprene pads are fixed to raft using 4-number steel manufactured concrete nails. We'll take up this is very important issue. After this means which nails must be properly fixed. This is after raft is done. At that time I'm saying curing is over, everything is over, it's hardened one. So we have to follow up design, and we must get these pads with, when you got material for this foundation isolation, because this neoprene pads are form of isolation. These neoprene pads are fixed on steel plates of as 300 mm, 300 or whatever design, with 4 holes at corners. The 4 holes are meant for purpose of steel nails. So we generally call them concrete nails in our field. Concrete nails, though these are not made of concrete, but these are made for purpose of connection to concrete, because these are made of steel, and this point of steel can penetrate into concrete, and that's the reason we call them concrete nails. But these are steel nails. Ensure that other nails which are used for timber work, wood work, those are wrought iron nails. These are steel nails, and that's the only difference. So ensure that 300 into 300 mm or whatever per designs we received steel plates mounted. We have to mount them on. These are to mount them, but these are already mounted with neoprene pad. Neoprene is high level, high dense rubber. Neoprene pads. This is combined item. Neoprene pads and these steel plates are fixed to that. Or these pads are, you can say, glued to that steel plate permanently. With this around this neoprene pads, 4 holes are provided for purpose of nailing to concrete. So ensure that 300 into 300 mm of part design steel plate mounted neoprene pads are fixed to raft using 4-number steel manufactured concrete nails, which nails must do proper fixing of plates to concrete. This is very important item. Now you have to check that polystyrene rolls are spread. We have to check that polystyrene rolls are spread on areas of raft, but savings areas covered under neoprene pads, so that prefabricated lamina plate rests on polystyrene. This is important not to understand. What I'm saying is, but I don't have sketch. I'm regretful for that. But you fix these pads like concrete nails, then you have flexible polystyrene rolls, heavy duty rolls. I mean polystyrene rolls, not extruded one or extruded one, different one, and these are spread on whole this, and we have to cut out within this fan. These pads are in way, the surrounding pads we have to cover with polystyrene roll, and so that prefabricated lamina plate rests on polystyrene. Provide a neoprene rubber sheet, same as rubber sheet on whole system laid on raft. So you have laid these neoprene pads, steel mounts, and you have laid polystyrene roll. Now neoprene rubber you have to lay. You have laid. These are three items we have laid on that raft. Now place following details based fabricated plate on laid system. Fabricated plate or lamina to be laid on this system, reinforcing past particular requirements. Okay, this is what I say. This fabrication of plate I'll discuss separately. Now just because we have provided steels, we have again same comments that ensure Reinforcing bars are clean and free from rust and dust. Sacrificial anode is required to be fixed, is fixed if so required, in which case non-epoxy coated bars shall be included, and also ensure that electrical continuity check shall be conducted if cathodic protection is required, and ensure touch-up paint is applied in case of epoxy coated reinforcing bars, and no cathodic protection is permitted on epoxy coated bar. Fabrication of steel lamina isolation horizontal frame. It's very important item actually, and this is what is isolation is all about. You have to understand this. Fortunately, I personally was involved in one item, and it was 1984. I still remember that time in Libya. I got drawings from France, SSCM Sacum, good details, very ordinary details. Complete procedure was defined in sketch form, and material was also supplied by them. So this framing, horizontal framing, this lamina and angles is supplied, rolled steel angles, mild steel, and design was given, fabrication design, and I took my own interest in that, because you cannot depend all time on fabricators for everything. Very technical issue it was. It was isolation arrangement for foundation, raft and between raft and machine foundation. It was to be placed. Frame, angles were available, design was available. I marked all lines for where your framing would come, and angles were welded to plate. After initial tag welding on corners of angles, I put all marks myself on each and every angle where tag has to come, weld tag has to come. And I took personal interest because I did not trust anybody else. Also, lifting hooks were welded. All angles were welded according to marks shown by those designers. I did myself on sitting on ground, putting these marks, and welding done by welder. This was lifted by crane, prefabricated unit, and placed on raft over neoprene blanket, neoprene sheet. Let me see what it is. Fabrication of steel lamina isolation horizontal frame. Steel lamina isolation horizontal frame. Ultimately you have seen this machine. You have seen this machine is very heavy by weight as well as by capacity. I still remember that was 2500 kVA, and I think it's a little more than that. So this is big unit, and we have to, there were 4 such units on that small site, and this was called standby diesel power station, located in Sitztown in army base area, and this was our job. It was interesting and small site, but big experience at that time. What it says now, check defined gauge of lamina or plate sheet according to requirement, right? According to design. You have to check thickness, which should be, well, it was delivered to us by company, so there was no major such conflict. But if you buy yourself or purchase through some agency, you have to make sure that this complies with. Check sections of rolled steel to to be included for isolation frame fabrication. That is, sections of rolled steel, you have to check dimensions, you have to check everything, and whether it's rusted or not rusted or whatever it is, means you have to make sure it's good for including into this frame. Ensure proper setting out of lines. Proper setting out of lines for RS sections for on-site fabrication on plate. Ensure proper tag line markings for welding are done on plate for welding work. Ensure welding operation is rightly carried out on all markings. Ensure provisions of lifting hooks. Ensure welding operation is rightly carried out on all markings. Ensure provisions of lifting hooks and their locations are correct per design. This plate should be placed on lead system on raft such that lamina faces down. Lamina faces down and RS framing portion upwards. Got my point? One end is lamina, other end is its rolled steel sections. So you can say when you fix it or you fix it on RCC, on rubber nipple seats, you have to provide this lamina on sheet, and this delivered plate is ready for fixing. In that case, frame work, angle fixing work which is there on one end, that should be towards concrete of massive block. This lamina must be put on, already put there, and all concrete should be, concrete of block must go into spaces between all these angles must be embedded. That's sole purpose. What it says that ensure provisions of lifting hooks and their locations are correct per design. This plate should be placed on lead system on raft such that lamina faces down and RS framing portion upwards to allow grip to upper concrete massive block foundation material. I think you got it. Means first we have to fabricate this plate and angles correctly to requirement of weld locations, because weld locations were shown in that design. Then two hooks on each side, means four hooks were there, or two hooks could be there, doesn't matter. Means that is not heavy. After welding, doing everything, or dusting out, you can say that it will be fixed on this, just like we say fix on that, you have put on that. Now we go to RCC works, generator foundation. It's very important one, generator foundation, not so simple as we think. It's very much, nothing you can read for 5 minutes at the back, because first reading is important. You may not, when I speak, you may not read, so better read it now. So we are back here. Now we are back here and say RCC works of generator foundation. RCC works of generator foundation. And generator, you have seen what I said. It was this one, which you can see in this sketch again. I can blow it more and more, and you can see how does it look. What is the structure. It looks like, you can see it's like train there. You can see shock absorbers like train bogie, and you can see it is, I think, CAD, though I do not use CAD one. Well, it's just a question of understanding what we say, what we do. So this is that. Now RCC works of generator foundation. Make sure that reinforcement of generator block is placed in the right locations in form of multi-layer steel on-site worked, assembled meshes, right? Make sure reinforcement of generator block is placed in right locations or required locations in form of multi-layer steel on-site worked, assembled meshes. Ensure that reinforcing bars are placed in line to design details whatsoever. This items pertains to massive block concrete detailing, which requires attention of an experienced engineer or pragmatic foreman who can personally attend to direct its installation, because it being a machine foundation design based on foundation counterveiling. Little complicated one, but we have to understand this as well, because understanding is very important point. We have to understand so many items, so many, so many issues we have to understand. Here we can do that. There's no harm in that. Understanding is very important, and if you can't, then you can't do anything. I'm just trying to find something. Let me see, what can I do? Let me see what is available there. And this is different, difficult item I'm going to discuss with you. Massive block. Maybe not difficult for some of you, but it's not that easy as well. It requires your concentration, your attention to do this item. And now I'm going to start one. That's something I was doing for some posting actually. Now it's that one. This is item number 15, and I think it's item number, let me see, please. Item number is 15, so let me say 16 here. Yes, it's this one, just in the place. This item is really important item for new people, those who have not worked in field. So this is done. Okay. Sorry, a little late. And I'll be back. So my talking about this item is very important point. Actually, I have to check something. I just checked it. Now it's say initial. You have to make sure that reinforcing bars are placed in line to design details whatsoever. This item pertains to massive block. This is, I'm talking reinforcement because this item pertains to massive block concrete detailing, which requires attention of an experienced engineer or pragmatic foreman who can personally attend to direct its installation or erection or placement, because it being a machine foundation designed based on foundation counterweight. I don't think moment of resistance or bending moment are that important in this. It is not, because depth is around 2.25 to 3 meters. So though it's quite heavy item, and it's meant for dampening effect, to achieve dampening effect of vibrations. That's main purpose. And to avoid, you can say resonance. Resonance, natural frequency of machine and performing frequency or operating frequency of machine should not tally. That is called state of resonance. You have known this. If you maybe you forgot it, it happens that operating frequency and natural frequency should meet together. Operating frequency means frequency imparted to or transferred to foundation by machine, and natural frequency means that is produced by foundation. Both must not be same. There should be difference, and what difference should be there, it's specified in designs up to 2. So make sure that we have to be concerned about that. That's the reason the massive foundation is there. The massive foundation natural frequency of foundation shall be according to its mass, or Bergman's formula or other formulas are available for that purpose. Just for elementary understanding, we can refer to that if you want to know. And then operating frequency of machine is always prescribed by manufacturers, and in real formula we can insert that and see what is natural frequency or altitude during vibration. In terms of that, we can see comparison of altitudes or frequency, we can find difference, and we can divide one by another one, and we can see that this is the result. Whether resonance would occur or resonance would not occur. If resonance occur, this is very bad situation. It says make sure that vertical forms are erected in all sides of proposed massive block. Very strong, very we have plates of plywood which is 1.2 by 2.4 meters. So 1.2 is horizontally. Is standing position we fabricate these plates, and because it's many plates on that, many plates are required. For example, if you have say 25 meters length of, for example I am saying, let's say 24 meter wells, 20 ply are required on one side, 20 on other, 40. and let's say it is 12 meters of this way or less. Let's say 12 meters means 10 and 10 20, so 60 ply you need for that. Sorry, 25 ply means 24 plies means 10 plies. No, yes. So we need 20, and so many plywood, so much work is required there, so much work we have to do. We have to keep that point in mind. It's very important point. Throughout there was no light. Round clock there was no night. There was no light because of storm here. So I just put my light on and okay, sorry. Now we have to see that plates are put in. They are installed and we have to fix them. How many plates? I just told you it's 24 meter, for example. One end is, so there are 20 ply on longitudinal direction and 20 on cross direction. So many plies you have to fabricate. It's good job. It's good one because there will be no bolting, so it should be very strong to connect together all these by putting more battens longitudinally, and it's because depth is more. Maybe you have to put at average 50 centimeter, half meter, depth is 2 meters. So five battens will be required in all directions. It's quite long length of a number of these battens shall be more. You got to understand, I'm telling you. So not written here, but I'm just trying to explain because everything cannot be written. It's quality statement, but I'm just trying to say because it shall happen, and then we have to put horizontal and also vertical to support them because bolting system doesn't access here. No tie bolts can be provided. So you have to strengthen as much as possible all these 60 plates in line without movement. They have to work. So, and if possible, though it's not practically, some people say bring a chain, steel chain and move around. That's not possible. That's not practical one. It's waste of material use and waste of money. Only way is that you have to use supports, inclined supports and horizontal supports. Horizontal supports and top supports, top inclined, as I always say, the top inclined jack support, and bottom horizontal support or little inclined support. These are meant to keep these items, these shutters in position, in dimension to dimensions, and then various supports. Middle one or H/3 height from bottom or 2H/3 from top, which is used to reduce pressure, is an important one. Yes, it's possible if you can do something inside, which is not practically. If you can put some wire in, means this end and that's not practically possible. But you may try. Trying is no harm. You can put some binding wire, some other wire, strong wire, by doing some hole inside, putting outside and tie up, because inside you can't tie up, and you can't tie to reinforcement. That's wrong. If you can do that wire tensile arrangement, just like people do in retaining walls of bridges, which are interlocked blocks of retaining wall, not concrete wall, retaining blocks, and they connect both ends together. It means it depends how you can do. If you can do that and it works, maybe it may not work. I've not tried that, but I have to depend solely on my fixing sides, which is very important because I cannot do more than that. So we have to be very clear about this. I'm just not written anything on this, but I'm just contemplating. You can contemplate, that's our job. So make sure that vertical forms are erected on all sides of proposed massive block. Make sure that formwork is carried out in a good fixing arrangement. Make sure that all side supports are strong enough so as not to permit either opening or movement of sides, and also to avoid bulging of sides, which are basic requirements of a good formwork. There should be no movement of fixed side or plate, and there should be no bulging at any point in vertical direction, vertical point, because both are expensive items. If it means this is failure of your system, you can say. If there's bulging, appearance of bulging or movement of side from location, this means your system of formwork failed. Remember that massive block sides, all massive block sides shall be provided with abutting concrete trenches for running electric cables. Get my point? I said, remember that all massive block sides, block foundation, I mean to say massive block sides, after removal of shutting, when you form this block, this shall be provided with abutting concrete trenches for running electric cables, and where it moved or bulged sides shall not work, which work state could lead to considerable grinding of bulging areas to bring back concrete profile to vertical. It's just explaining in case I'm not talking of movement of sides or dimensions, but bulging of vertical sides. If it happens at that time of pouring, you cannot control it. Even after doing a huge hammers blow, you cannot bring concrete back, not possible. But once it is done, in case it is done, means you achieved it, you means negatively achieved bulging. Only way is, because face is not a problem, it shall be embedded in soil or behind cable trench. You have to keep in mind, suppose there is bulging of 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters. It can't be, when it is a failure. Or even 1 centimeter, 10 mm. Your trench has to move there. Of course, there is some gap between trench wall and due to for some insulation purpose. But that's limited. So when it's bulged, it will not allow that wall concrete. And your conduit, cable trench has to work there. No way out. Only way, then you have to remove your bulging, and bulging cannot be removed by chipping or something. It's possible, but generally grinding you have to do on that surface. Say there's a bulging of 5 mm to 10 mm, and localized bulging or major bulging, it depends. So how long shall you use grinder, horizontal grind, vertical grinder, horizontal grinder, for purpose of adjusting that or grinding that portion of steel. Of course, I'm sure portion of steel won't be in bulging. Bulging is only concrete. There is a failure on steel also. In that case, steel can come in that bulging. That is very important point. But if steel remains intact, only concrete shall bulge. So you have to grind that concrete, and it's big one. It takes time. It's not easy. You can't fix side when it's moved, but bulging can happen. bulging can happen, and that bulging is to be ground. There's no other way. You have to grind it, and grinding is not easy because it takes time. It costs your technician, it costs your grinder blades, it costs your time. It's difficult one. So it's better if you do correct job. You have to be very specific about this because depth of concrete is 2 meters or more. That's very important point. First of all, if you are using pump, if you are not going to use stepping of concrete, certainly it shall bulge. No way. And you can't control it, no one can control it. It's considerable pressure, and you can see say it is 2 meters. Pressure at bottom is how much? You just think of WH 2.5 into 2, that's 5 tons per square meter. 5 tons per square meter. You can imagine what pressure will get on this. So we have to be very conscious about that. We have to not to allow bulging at any cost. Your formwork should be set that much strong, and you have to do in layers your concrete so that maybe you reach top level in 3 hours or 4 hours, and by that time at least bottom portions are to some extent set, to some extent semi-solidified, not gel state, not liquid state. So what I say, make sure that vertical forms are erected on the sides proposed messy block, and formwork is carried out in a good fixing arrangement, and all side supports are strong enough so as not to permit either opening or movement of sides, and also to avoid bulging of sides. And all messy block sides be provided with abutting concrete trenches for running electric cables, and where it moved or bulged sides shall not work, which work state could lead to considerable grinding of bulged areas to bring back concrete profile to true vertical. Make sure concrete covers are fixed correctly to all reinforcing bars. Check top alignment and plumbs so that formwork plan meets the requirement at bottom as well as top profiles, and for sure in middle locations. Check setting out for anchor bolts location for locating and fixing blockouts or grooves as usual. It's also machine foundations. Plates and bolts will be there for installation purpose, and if grooves are prescribed in design, you have to provide according to dimensions given by designer, because dimensions are quite different, and these grooves should be fabricated properly of timber, or if they have given some prefabricated grooves, fine, but they will not give. You have to arrange yourself to do timber gluing, because this can be broken later on, and if it is steel groove, then that will remain inside, you cannot take out. So it's better to use timber grooves of that size given design, and you cannot take out that also from concrete after it is hard set. So what you do, leave them there, piece by piece you break it down by long chisel and take out them. That's the only way it can be done, because you are not going to install your bolts at that time. It's difficult, and so many reasons are there. Means you don't want to take risk of block being wrongly placed. So what I say, remember that all massive block sites shall be provided with abutting concrete trenches for running electric cables, and where moved or bulged sides shall not work, which work stage could lead to considerable grinding of bulged areas to bring back concrete profile to true vertical. Make sure the concrete covers are fixed correctly to all reinforcing bars. Check top alignment and plumb so that formwork plan meets to requirement at bottom as well as top profiles, and for sure in middle locations as we discussed, top and bottom profiles must be supported by system that should keep these profiles intact with dimensions, with orientation and location, and check setting out for anchor bolts locations for locating and fixing blockouts or grooves. Then we have to go to further check, and that is check blockouts. Check blockouts, truncated formwork. Check blockouts, truncated formworks. Check these blockouts forms are fixed in position, exact position, and are truly vertical and well anchored, so as not to move out of fixed position. Make sure about providing cathodic protection if so required. In case of cathodic protection, provisions continuity test should be required to be conducted, and that must be done. Cathodic protection provision continuity testing, activity of pouring and curing. Yes, it is also required here. Every activity must be inspected by competent person, competent engineer, who is authorized, and competent quality person, because everybody has to be responsible. So activity of pouring and curing to be followed for concrete pour plan, which you have to develop yourself. Of course, there are ways, and we can show. And of course, in step pouring, which I'll show you again, so as to avoid cold joint formations. Step pouring is very important. I show you many times. I can show again. It's not a big deal. I think if I don't have that one, let me see. I can show you directly from Excel. No, Excel can't do that. I think tabletop photo, no, it's not that. I have to go back to system as a whole and see if I can find that, generator for this slab. Tabletop photo, for this block, generator. Shooting range, concrete sketch this leg form section and couple others, swell form, column form, and this is no, it's not here. Let's see in method statement for mass block sequence, that is, I don't have. Well, I'll take photograph. I'm going to take this sketch 58. Let us see this. I don't know why I missed this time last time as well. I don't know this. Let me again do it. Show to you just now. This is important one, and this is the art one. Just for your reference, I'm showing how this should be poured. This is, if you see section of this, and this is, of course it is different foundation, but it's a massive block as well. You can see size, whatever sizes there, you have to go. You can see you have to detail like this. May say 2 meters to take width, and you have to pour this layer. This is a plan actually, and this is just strip sections. sequences we have to fix means all core joints should be avoided. That's the only way it is done. It's not done otherwise. And if you fully means if you do it fully in one go, then you will face problems. Many problems will face. First of all, even if you are using concrete pump and fully concreting, say you concrete from here to here, then again moving further, pouring this, and coming back, pouring this doesn't work. Means at one time, you will get cold joints, and at the point that pressure will increase. So that's what I will discuss this later on. It's just for information. I tried to show you this, and I think you understand that what I mean. So as I said, we are here. I put this file off because this file is not required at the moment. You can put this file off. Why to waste unnecessary time? So says, then you can say, it's a check blockouts, truncated formworks, and that these must be into vertical position and anchored well, and not to move out of fixed position, and make sure about providing cathodic protection if required. So required, that maybe it depends on project. If it's required, you have to do it. If it's not required, don't do it. Make sure about providing cathodic protection if so required. In case of cathodic protection provision, continuity test shall be required to be conducted, and activity of pouring and curing to be followed per concrete pour plan, and of course in steps pouring as so as to avoid cold joints formations, as I explained to you just now. Reinforcing bars, particular requirement as usual. I just repeat, it is same. Ensure reinforcing bars are clean and free from rust and dust. Ensure sacrificial anode is fixed if so required, in which case non-epoxy coated bars shall be included. Non-epoxy coated. Ensure that electrical continuity check shall be conducted if cathodic protection is required. Ensure touch-up paint is applied in case of epoxy coated reinforcing bars, and no cathodic protection is permitted on epoxy coated bars. These are precautionary measures. Now, alternative formulation. Alternative foundation. Now, following described all operations are required for a thick column with addition of provisions of pockets or grooves for blockouts. Means what it says, we are going to construct thick column. Thick column, it's not column of that type. It's like you kiss like a big pedestal. I'm calling column because we are doing this column, but it's like big pedestal. Probably dimension may be 1.5 meter into 1.5 meter, and height may be more than 3 meters. So it's different element. It's not going to carry any frame load. It's just, you can say, a kind of foundation, means just like you're saying massive block for generator, it may be a thick block for alternator. You can say in correct terminology is also a foundation. If I'm saying column, no problem. Column can also be used as foundation. Following described operations are required for a thick column with addition of provision of pockets or grooves for blockouts. Alternator foundation being a thick concrete element, which means its minimum dimension in plan is at least 800 mm. Then very small thickness. You know what I said? We're not going to do small thickness. We are going to cast whole depth in layers, of course, in one go. Alternator foundation is a thick concrete element, which means its minimum dimension in plan is at least 800 mm and height could be 2 to 3 meters depending on design. So we can say alternative foundation is a thick concrete element, which means its minimum dimension in plan is at least 800 mm. 800 mm height could be 2 to 3 meter depending on design. Steel vertical reinforcing bars are fixed at time of raft RCC work, rings only out of X. At this stage, horizontal reinforcing struts as well as all other bars are to be placed in or installed. So we have to complete work of stirrups over these, in addition to these vertical bars. Then formwork plates that must have been fabricated in carpentry yard are required to be brought to location and erected. Post steel reinforcement approval. Formwork of grooves must also be made available for installation. Grooves means same on plan. Hanging grooves, timber fabricated hanging grooves for purpose of bolting. All sides of alternator foundation formwork shall be erected and fixed properly. All sides of alternator foundation formwork shall be erected and fixed properly so as no side opens at time of concrete pour. as we discussed in massive block foundation, because this is also 3 meters height, more than massive block. It will give more pressure, and also there is no bolting in that. We have to depend on side supports. So all sides of alternate foundation formwork shall be erected and fixed properly so as no side opens at times of concrete pour. All formwork checks to ensure position intact and verticality right shall be conducted. Remember that cable trains shall pass adjacent to side of alternator foundation concrete as well, which means vertical and side accuracy is very much required, as it is required for massive block. Level line of concrete top shall be fixed on formwork inside. It can be by beads or it can be by whatever means. It should be clear to mason up to what level this concrete is to go or is to rise. Grooves formwork shall be fixed and well anchored so that no movement occurs during concrete pour. Approval shall be obtained for formwork for purpose of concrete pour. Pour shall be conducted in layers not exceeding 400 mm thick, that we'll discuss in reinforcing bars particular requirements, that is, ensure reinforcing bars are clean and free from rust. Ensure sacrificial anode is fixed if so required, in which case non-epoxy coated bars shall be included. Ensure that electrical continuity check shall be conducted if cathodic protection is required. Ensure touch-up paint is applied in case of epoxy coated reinforcing bars, and no cathodic protection is permitted on epoxy coated bars. This we discussed for certain important items. Important items these are, and we should understand that point. It's very much important. This we discussed, and you can say what did we cover actually when slab was over. I think that was the slab. So we covered pedestal footings, two types, for structural framing without gantry and structural frame with gantry both. We considered both items, very small items, very small description. Then we considered generator and alternator foundations, which are also very important. If I try to find something, maybe I can't see that. I can say, let us say, generator, alternator foundation. There's nothing as such. I think something appears here. Let me see this image. What does it say? Oh, there's so much in that. doing something else here. What is this? It doesn't usually ask it, it doesn't do that. Okay, here it is. Alright, let us see if you can say this. HTML is, why it's HTML? Problem is you cannot get some references directly. It's a main problem. It's not giving a result. I like to give one reference for your reference only. Oh, it's very small generator, yet something is written on that. We'll see. No, it's not giving. It's giving something else. Let me try what it says. That's also important. What it says, let us see. What are requirements of diesel generator set foundation? Says diesel generator set. Diesel generator set is an indispensable emergency equipment which is required for installation of environment. Foundation of diesel generator set shall be built on hard soil. A 200 mm thick concrete ground shall be made. Oh no, this is rubbish. Leave it behind. I cancel this. I was talking something reasonable and it should be heavy. It's not giving me that one, so I close it. Not it's rubbish. Alright, we'll move ourselves. You cannot depend all time on such a big generator. You cannot depend on small foundations. Then we discussed about generators, alternate foundations, and these are for power stations. I'm not talking of small generators for homes, for factories. We are talking for power stations, which are having major profile generators, major capacity generators, maybe 4, maybe 8, depending on requirements. If you have 4 generators, 250, 2500 kVA, and 10,000 kVA you have. So like that, you can say, we are talking that generator, powerful generator, having alternator, having then you can say oil tank and radiators with that. All these are required. It's a very important point you must care about. We cannot simply go by what others say. We have to think ourselves what we are talking of. This generator which I showed to you is again same. It's maybe now, but I'm talking of big one which was available in those days. And this is heavy machine which requires heavy input, and that's very important point. So I put this off also now. So we have gone through these 3 items, and these are very important items. And important in the sense it's not only foundation you have to provide, you have to work on all activities according to requirement, and those requirements are very important. You may say not only important but very important. If even single activity you missed and you did wrong, you did against requirements, against specifications, you shall have to face problems. This is a vibratory machine. It's not joke. You have to consider in design your resonance also. If you miss that, this will fail. It may be turbine foundation, it may be generator foundation, it may be compressor foundation. Wherever heavy vibrations are involved, these would fail if your resonance factor equals to boundary factor. It's very important point that we have to understand such activities in clear terms. What we have to do, we have to plan accordingly. It's not simple work. Planning engineer, site engineer, and all those quality engineers who are involved with this must sit together and chart out a strategy to see how this work can be done best way, and all minds should talk together same way, because even if I work there, you work there, everybody has duties. You have to go there, see the work. So we have only to tell you that these are required. Very much these are required. We cannot say no. We can only say that for sake of you can say good work. You should not jump out. These foundations are machine one, and machines are risky. Risky in the sense machines are very expensive and foundation may not be that expensive. But activity wise it's important. Their foundations are very important. If foundation fails means every part of your foundation fails, every part of it. Your machine's existence may be endangered due to that. We have to understand, as talking about biology of area. We have to be smart enough to understand this. Studying books is not easy and not exclusively easy. It's very important point that we have to take care of foundation, form work, we have to take care of blinding, we have to take care of waterproofing of foundation surfaces, we have to take care of isolation, and we have to take care of pouring of these items if we want to really stand ourselves market. Intelligent. Sometimes, we have to have patience in work. And if we don't have patience, we lose something. This is very important job. If we have to do this, we have to take testing of work, or you can say checking of work, only to small percentages. We have to take care of concreting process, we have to take care of formwork process, cutting and bending of steel process. Likewise, we have to close and raise. So what I say, to maintain quality in field, we have to be very adherent, very compliant with quality control system. It's very important point. And if we don't comply with that, we cannot achieve anything. That's why I always stress quality requirement, quality issues, quality controls. These are exclusively important for whatever work we do. We can't run away. We can't run away from those. And if we run away, it means we spoil, we do not work as engineers, you may say. We cannot call ourselves engineers if we don't comply with that. Yes, there is no excuse at all. You cannot give excuse that builder did not allow this, or contractor did not do this, or consultant did not allow this. There can be no such excuse at all. No, 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 I would say no, no, no. Not at all, not at all, not at all. What I should say. Oh, no, I don't allow. Why should? After all, what's your benefit? Engineer means quality. And if you can't give quality, what should I say? Better leave engineering profession. That's all. If you cannot give quality, if you cannot achieve quality, what's the purpose of engineer? Tell me and think of. So with this point, I would say I take I take now off for this. We will see. I'll try to do better in future. For timing, I'm going to close this. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed this slow talk, enjoyable talk, technical talk, site talk, design talk, talking, and talking. You may say he only talks, he doesn't do anything else. Yes, I only talk. I don't do anything else, and that is my life. Talking, and talking. Right? Good. Bye bye. Okay, gentlemen. See you again in June 2021. Different world, different life, different engineering, different tension. Everything is different. My approach is different. Your approach is different. But quality is being killed. You have to protect it. What determination do you have for that? You have to decide. Whatever level you are, quality applies to every level. You cannot simply escape by saying I'm design engineer, what can I do? Quality is beyond my control. You can say that. I don't agree with that. If you are an engineer, I do. Thank you very much.